The Lies of Pi, our first update on the show. The Lies of Pi demo was announced at the Summer Game Fest last week, June 9th. It is in development and will be published by NeoWiz. I think I have that correctly said there. It's identified as a steampunk-styled game and a Souls-like action RPG exploration game. I love those Soulsborne games. I cannot get enough of those, and I've only finished a few of them. The official game release for Lies of P, I keep saying Lies of Pi. You know, I see that and I think I want some pie, but it's Lies of P for Pinocchio there, so excuse me on that. The official game release for it is September 19th, 2023, and that is the official release. It officially releases across PC, as well as current and last-gen Xbox and PlayStation consoles. It's really good that the last gens are not left behind there. And yes, we have some gameplay. You're looking at gameplay on the Steam Deck. The specs for it, are in the description. Just so you know, I allotted 4 gigabytes of VRAM on the Steam Deck, and am using crypto utilities at default to improve performance and manage storage through altering the swap file. For those familiar with crypto utilities, I have Fidelity FX Super Resolution, FSR, enabled on Steam Deck OS. The frame rate is capped by 60 on the Decky Recorder plugin, which is being used. However, with my gameplay not using Decky Recorder, I found that frame rates remain the same. And the game is using default settings. No adjustments were done in-game. So, let's talk frame rates for a moment. For the first boss fight, which you see here, I was in the mid-40s, plugged in on battery, and even not plugged in, and over 50% there. But other areas, I was seeing in the upper 50s. So this played really nicely on the Steam Deck. I was very happy to see that. The channel has covered the story of Lies of P in its May 25th Daily Gaming Update. So gentlemen, let's talk about story. How many of you love the story of Pinocchio? Derek, Brian, Pinocchio fans here?
Not very familiar with it.
All right. Well, in this game, how about you, Brian? Are you familiar?
I'm familiar, but not really. This game seems kind of weird.
It definitely is, because it's a dark twist, if you will, to the Pinocchio story. It's a dark fantasy themed story of Pinocchio. You're tasked as P to find Geppetto in the city of Krat, which is it appears as a French city. It's inundated with puppets. Geppetto is the creator and father of Pinocchio, and he is father of the puppets, and he's a genius engineer who was a leader of the Golden Age in Krat. P is created to save Krat and its fate, and it's going to take a bit of work from what I experienced in the demo. In the demo, there are 3 bosses. The Parade Master, which you saw gameplay for, it looks like the big red tank. The Mad Donkey, which looks like a humanoid figure just wearing a donkey mask or helmet of sorts. And the Scrapped Watchman. I did not get to the 3rd boss on this one, gentlemen. I had to relearn how to play Bloodborne to get through this demo. But I have gameplay on the first 2 bosses. So my verdict for this, I loved it. Again, it was a rough start trying to remember how to play Bloodborne because it's been so long. But I really felt like I was playing another, not Bloodborne 2, but another Bloodborne game. And that made me very happy. I was immediately intrigued with the story. The enemies are intricate, and they are diverse as well, which I really appreciate. So it's not just going in and hitting every enemy the same. You have to actually understand the movements of the enemies. Typical Soulsborne-like game. First impressions, though, Derek, Brian, thoughts on this?
It looks really fun, honestly. Yeah.
Say it again, Brian.
It's just another reskin Soulsborne game. That's all it is.
Yeah. But it does look fun. I'd play it.
The combat, I'm so used to Dark Souls where I need to use a shield, and I'm so used to holding up the shield. Okay, person's going to hit, so I had to remember in Bloodborne, there is actually a shield you can use in Bloodborne, but it's a wooden shield. It's nothing extravagant like you would get as a shield in the Dark Souls game. So I had to remember, hey, you can guard with the sword, which is great, but I would not highly depend on that guard. You still do take enough health that you will not want to always guard. I mean, yes, even in the other Soulsborne games, you do take a hit on health depending on your build, of course, as to how much, but generally speaking, you do. So it's just something to watch out for. You do have, at least in the demo, 3 vials, and the fourth one, or the next ones, they will actually load as they will replenish. The one will replenish depending on how many hits you get. If you get enough hits on an enemy to fully replenish one, then one will be replenished. So some other notes on this. There appears to be a lie system, and when he entered Hotel Krat, he had to lie to get in. He had to lie and say he was not a puppet, when in actuality, gentlemen, I hate to break it to you, he is a puppet. He is really a puppet. There are 2 different Legion arms. There's an arm for a power punch, so something maybe like the Mighty Hulk, but it doesn't have that drastic effect. And an arm for the puppet string. This reminded me of Sekiro somewhat, though it has a different function. You are not flying from rooftops with the puppet string, but you can draw enemies in closer, which is really neat and adds a dynamic to combat. Character progression is with Ergo. That is the currency that is collected from enemies, so equivalent to souls in Dark Souls and Blood Echoes in my tied all-time favorite game, Bloodborne. Stargazers are the equivalent to bonfires in Dark Souls games and lanterns in Bloodborne. Hotel Krat is the main hub. I mentioned that. And it is analogous to that of the Firelink Shrine in Dark Souls 3 and Nexus and Demon Souls. So it is a Soulsborne game with those similar attributes. Any other thoughts on this one, gentlemen?
No, not really.
All right. Well, that is our update for Lies of P, not Lies of Pi. You get Pi later, Lies of P.